Greetings, one and all. Welcome back, guys, to our YouTube channel. Of course, this is Searching Out the Matter. And don't we have a good one for you today? Definitely, we have a juicy one for you. If you are a believer of the Bible, this one is for you. If you are a skeptic of the Bible, this one is definitely for you. If you call yourself a Christian, this one is also for you because we are here to validify the Bible. We are here to substantiate the Bible, and we are also here to prove that the Bible is true. Because the word of the Most High reminds us that we should sanctify Yahuwah Elohim in our hearts and be ready always to give an answer to every man that asketh you for a reason of the hope that is in you with meekness and fear. And without further ado, and the matter that we're searching out in this video is historians who wrote about Yahusha, whom they call Chrestus, also known as Jesus Christ. What would we like to prove? One, the characters of the Bible. Two, the substantiation of the events that took place in the Bible. And thirdly, who called the believers Christians? No, that one is a juicy one. But before we continue, let's read from 2 Corinthians 10, verse 4 to 5, and it reads, "For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through Elohim to the pulling down of strongholds, casting down imaginations, and every high thing that exalted itself against the knowledge of Elohim, and bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of the Messiah." The testimonial that we're going to use Talos from AD 55, Lucan of Samosata, AD 166, Marabar Serapion, AD 73, Pliny the Younger, AD 112, Suetonius, AD 120, Tacitus, AD 116. Without further ado, let's search. So we start with Talos in the year AD 55. Talos was perhaps the earliest non-Christian writer who referred to Yahusha. While Talos' work has been lost, a fragment was quoted by Julius Africanus around AD 2020, which in itself was quoted by Byzantine historian Georgius St. Talos in his chronicle AD 800. Julius Africanus was discussing the darkness that accompanied the crucifixion of Yahusha in Matthew 27, verse 45. But before we read what he wrote, let's read what Matthew 27, verse 45 said. And it reads, "Now from the 6th hour until the 9th hour, there was darkness up over all the land." And also in Luke 23, verse 44 and 45, it reads, "Now it was about the 6th hour. There was darkness over all the earth until the 9th hour, and the sun was darkened, and the veil of the temple was torn in two." Now, those are two witnesses, Mark and Luke. Now, let's hear from Talos what he has to say. And it reads, "On the whole world, there pressed a most fearful darkness, and the rocks were rented by an earthquake, and many places in Judea and other districts were thrown down. This darkness Talos in the third book of his history calls, as it appears to me without reason, an eclipse of the sun." So here's Talos in 55 AD, stating what is taking place when Yahusha was on the cross. So he's saying that he did not know what is happening because he did not know that Yahusha was on the cross. But in his mind, he's just saying that it was the eclipse of the sun. So this is showing that the events of the Bible are true. Let's advance, because guess what we just proved, at the mouth of two witnesses or at the mouth of three witnesses shall a matter be established. Let's advance. Lucian of Samosata, AD 166, and it reads, "Lucian of Samosata was a famous Greek satirist who also referred to Yahusha in his work. The book is called The Death of Peregrine, which was written sometimes after AD 165. In it, he mocks Christianity." Let's read. "The Christians, worship a man to this day, the distinguished personage who introduced their novel rites and was crucified on that account. You see, these misguided creatures thought with the general conviction that they are immortal for all time, which explains the contempt of death and voluntary self-devotion, which are so common among them. And then it was impressed on them by their original lawgiver that they are all brothers from the moment that they were converted and denied the gods of Greece and worship the crucified sage and live after his laws. So this is Lucian of Samosata in AD 166, talking about those who follow Yahusha. Of course, they call them Christians at this time, but never mind, we're coming to that. So now we're saying, now we are proving that the characters of the Bible and how they live and the faith in which are through whom they live are true, didn't we? Let's advance. Remember this, believers. Preach the word. Be prepared in season and out of season to correct, rebuke, and encourage with great patience and careful instructions. Let's advance. So we have another historian, and it's called Marabar Sarapian. Let's read. Marabar Sarapian city was destroyed by the Romans who were occupying the land, and he himself was taken captive. From prison, he wrote a letter in Syriac to his son, also called Sarapian, encouraging him to pursue wisdom. In it, Marabar Sarapian referred to Yahusha, and it reads, what else can we say? When the wise are forcibly dragged off by tyrants, their wisdom is captured by insults, and their minds are oppressed and without defense. What advantage did Athenians gain by murdering Socrates, for which they were repaid with famine and pestilence? Or the people of Samos by the burning of Pythagoras, because their country was completely covered in sand in just 1 hour? Or, listen this, or the Jews by killing their wise king, because their kingdom was taken away at that very time. Elohim justly repaid the wisdom of these three men, and Athenians died of famine. The Samnians were completely overwhelmed by the sea, and the Jews, listen, juicy, and the Jews, desolate and driven from their own kingdom, are scattered through every nation. Friends, people, the Temple of Jerusalem was destroyed in 70 AD, and the children of Israel were scattered. And this is 3 years after the Temple of Jerusalem was destroyed. Marabar Serapion was writing to his son, telling him about the events that took place. Now we have proven that the events that took place in the Bible are true, because it was a prophecy that Yahusha prophesied in Matthew 24, verse 2, and it reads, and Yahusha said unto them, see ye not all these things? Verily I say unto you, there shall not left here one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. Because Yahusha was testifying, prophesying that the temple of Jerusalem would have been destroyed, and it did in 70 AD. And in 73 AD, Serapion wrote about it. You know what? Let's continue. Pliny the Younger, AD 112. Let's read. Pliny the Younger was a Roman governor of Bethany who wrote to Emperor Trajan asking for advice on how to deal with the Christians he was persecuting. In Book 10, Letter 96, he described his procedures to Trajan, and it reads, others, whose names were given me by an informer, first said that they were Christians and afterward denied it, declaring that they had been but were so no longer. Some of them having recanted many years before, and more than one so long as 20 years back. Let's continue. They all worship your image and the statue of the deities. Of the deities. Where is it? Where am I? Okay. They all worship your image and the statues of the deities and curse the name of the Messiah. But they declare that the sum of their guilt or their error only amounted to this, that on a stated day they had been accustomed to meet before daybreak and to recite a hymn among themselves to the Messiah, although he were a Elohim, and that so, from binding themselves by an oath to commit any crime, their oath was to abstain from theft, robbery, adultery, and from breach of faith, and not to deny trust money placed in their keeping when called upon to deliver it. So here we're seeing that the characters of the character through their practices, right? We can see quite clearly that these are believers. Some recanted and some kept their faith. Let's advance. Because one thing I want you guys to do as believers, Prove all things, hold fast that which is good. Because if something is present to you, test it out, prove it. What is good, keep it. What is bad, throw it out. And that is called eating the meat, spitting out the bones. Let's advance. And we have Suetonius in AD 120. Let's read. Suetonius was a Roman historian whose most famous work, De Vita Caesarum, Life of the Caesars, recounts a brief history of the first 12 Caesars, from Julius Caesar to the Emperor Domitian. In this chapter on the life of Claudius, AD 51 to 54, he explained the reason for the emperor decision to expel the Jews from Rome, an event also recorded in the Bible in Acts 8, verse 2. And it reads, since the Jews constantly made disturbance at the instigation of Chrestus, who they call Christ, he expelled them from Rome. Are you hearing that? That they are confirming what the Bible said in Acts 18, verse 2, that the Romans kick out the Jews. And let's read from Acts chapter 18, verse 2, and it reads, and he found a certain Jew named Aquila, born in Pontus, who had recently come from Italy with his wife Priscilla, because Claudius had commanded all the Jews to depart from Rome, and he came to them. So Suetonius, sorry, I'm butchering the name, but he's confirming that Claudius expelled the Jews from Rome, which the Bible said. Again, events proven. Let's advance. Last but not least, Tacitus in AD 116. This is juicy. Tacitus was a Roman historian who left two major works. One, the Histories, covering the Roman emperor from AD 69 to 96. Second, the Annals, covering the period from 14 to 68. In his Annals, Tacitus writes about the suspicions that Nero was responsible for the great fire of Rome, and how Nero tried to deflect the blame. Now, many persons know about the fire of Rome, many don't. Fair enough, you don't have to. But let's continue. Consequently, to get rid of the report, Nero fastened the guilt and inflicted the most exquisite torture on a class hated for their abominations, called Christians by the populace. So Nero caused the fire, but he wanted to blame it on the sect of people who they call Christians. And who call them Christians? The populace. The populace mean the people. So the believers did not call themselves Christians. The people of Athens did. All right, so let's continue. He said, Chrestus, from whom the name had its origin, suffered the extreme penalty during the reign of Tiberius at the hand of one of our procurators, Pontius Pilatus, and a most mischievous superstition, thus checked for the moment, again broke out not only in Judea, the first source of evil, but even in Rome, where all things hideous and shameful from every part of the world find their center and become popular. So he's saying that Christianity started from Judea and then find itself in Rome. That's what he's saying. What he's saying is abomination according to him, because these people worship Zeus, Mars, and Venus, which they call planets, but they're just constellation, right? But anyhow, so who call the believers Christians? The populace, the people of Athens, the people of Greece, the people of Rome, not the believers themselves. No, for those who believe in their Bible, remember this, that all scriptures is given by inspiration of Elohim and is profitable for doctrine, for reproof, for correction, for instruction in righteousness. In righteousness, remember that the man of Elohim may be perfect, thoroughly furnished unto all good works. Never forget that. And the fact that I'm confident to talk about this, let me tell you why. Because the scripture in 2 Timothy 2:15, it reads, study to show thyself approved unto Elohim, a workman who needed not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. And it continues in verse 16. I love this one. It says, but shun profane and vain babblings, for they will increase unto more unrighteousness. When I hear persons coming to talk about the Bible is not true, and man write the Bible and yada 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 yada, send them come to this channel. I will deal with them. What did we just prove? We proved the characters of the Bible. We proved the substantiation of the events. And we also proved who called the believers Christians. If you have reached the end of the video, I just want to say thanks for watching and having the journey with me, right? And I want you to start your own journey. If you're a believer, you can study the history of the Bible. So you can be confirmed, you can be established in what you know and what you live by. All right? So if there's anyone who is skeptic of the Bible, share this video with them. If there's anyone who believe but want to be established and confirmed, share this video with them. Please like and subscribe and share. And remember, all glory to Yahuwah our Elohim and his son Yahusha the Messiah, who will come again to judge us at the end. Till next time, brethren.